He sacrificed everything. But did it matter? Squid Game 3 doesn't just end. It cuts deep. Let's break it all down. The Squid Game saga concludes with a finale that's equal parts brilliant and divisive. Guihan's sacrifice, Inho's twisted justice, and the haunting survival of a baby leave fans debating the true meaning. Was it redemption or despair? Let's break down every major moment, twist, and hidden message in just 8 minutes. The final moments of Guihan aren't just emotional, they're layered with symbolism and closure. When he chooses to let the baby win, it's more than just protecting a life. It's a powerful rejection of everything the games represent. Guihan realizes that no amount of money, revenge, or survival will ever break the system. The games will continue because human nature, greed, and cruelty always find a way. So instead of trying to beat the game, he breaks it. And he does that with one selfless act, sacrificing himself to let the baby live. It's not just noble, it's revolutionary. Now, let's talk about symbolism. His death draws clear parallels to Jesus Christ. Just like Christ gave his life to redeem others, Guihan's final act purifies the evil cycle. He dies so innocence, represented by the baby, can have a future untouched by corruption. And here's where the writing hits hard. Guihan's last words, "We are not horses," take us back to Season 1. It's a direct reference to how the VIPs saw players as animals to bet on, but it's also personal. Guihan was a gambler. He once saw people as pawns, too. In the end, he refuses to be reduced to a number or a bet. His arc comes full circle. From selfish addiction to ultimate selflessness, Guihan didn't just win the moral game, he dismantled it. Inho's arc is chilling because of how human it once was. But by the finale, humanity is gone. His cold silence when faced with Junho, his brother, says everything. No apology, no emotion, just a stare. That moment seals it. Inho's fully consumed by the ideology of the games. He believes in them now. He is the system. But he's not without complexity. He gives Guihan's winnings to Guihan's daughter and chooses to spare the baby. But don't confuse this with kindness. He makes it clear they didn't deserve it. Not because he's generous, but because he thinks they're too innocent to be punished. It's his twisted version of fairness. What's scarier is Inho's obsession with breaking Guihan. He didn't just want to beat him, he wanted Guihan to become like him, to give up hope, to stop caring, to lose his humanity. And when does Guihan not break? That's when Inho loses. Guihan's sacrifice isn't just powerful, it's a direct challenge to Inho's entire worldview. It proves Inho wrong, and it shakes him. You can even see it in his eyes. He's angry, not just because Guihan defied him, but because a part of him still remembers what it was like to care. Guihan's death forces Inho to confront what he lost. Redemption, not for Inho, but reflection? That seed might have been planted, and that's even more unsettling. No, she started just following orders, but across the series, we saw her humanity struggle to rise to the surface. By the end, she's clinging to one last thread, her daughter. So, when she finds out her child is dead, that thread snaps. Everything she endured suddenly feels meaningless. The moment she burns the files, it's not just dramatic, it's symbolic. She's torching the last pieces of her identity, the system she was a part of, and the past she tried to control. Fire becomes a visual metaphor for collapse, but also rebirth. And yet, Guihan's final act, his selflessness, resonates with her. It reignites something she thought was dead, hope. That spark is subtle but powerful. Then comes the ambiguous phone call. A mystery voice claims her daughter is alive. Is it real, or just another layer of manipulation? The scene fades without a clear answer, and that's the point. Some things aren't meant to be resolved neatly. Her arc ends in uncertainty, but also potential. She's not the same cold guard we met. She's broken, yes, but maybe that break is what lets the light in. Let's be clear. The baby isn't just a child. It's a metaphor. The baby is the only character untouched by the game's horrors. Innocent, vulnerable, and yet, surviving. That survival means something. It suggests that even in a world built on death and despair, something pure can still make it through. Guihan understood this. That's why he gave his life. Not for revenge, not for redemption, for hope. And surprisingly, even Inho, the heartless frontman, chooses not to kill the baby. That moment reveals something deeper. Maybe he still remembers what it was like to care. Maybe there's a piece of his soul left, buried under all the trauma. The baby doesn't speak. don't choose. But by surviving, it becomes the story's final message. Not all innocence has to be destroyed. Something can still be saved. While most characters in Squid Game are driven by desperation, Gong-seok is the rare light in the chaos. His subplot doesn't scream for attention, but its message is loud and clear. Despite losing, despite the trauma, Gong chooses to walk a different path. He focuses on healing, not revenge. His daughter, recovering in the hospital, reminds us that not all victories come from winning the game. His encounter with No is bittersweet. There's a spark, maybe even a connection, but they miss each other by moments. It's the kind of missed opportunity that happens in real life all the time. Painfully relatable. In a show full of death and manipulation, Gong-seok shows that quiet goodness still exists, and that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. Choi Woo's transformation from gangster to businessman may not take up much screen time, but it hits hard. Unlike others who clung to their past or craved power, Choi chose to evolve. He uses his winnings not to indulge, but to build something sustainable, ethical, and clean. It's not flashy, it's real. A quiet kind of redemption that proves the system doesn't have to win. In a world that constantly tests your morality, Choi Woo passed when it counted most. Proof that change is possible if you want it enough. That final Dokji scene? Yeah, it wasn't just fan service. It opens the door to an entirely new chapter. We see the familiar red card and the slapping game, but in a new setting, with new players. It confirms what many suspected. The Squid Games are global. So, why not show us an American version this season? It's a valid question. Maybe it was a missed opportunity. Or maybe it's being saved for something bigger. Because here's where it gets interesting. Rumors are flying that David Fincher, yes, Fight Club and Mindhunter David Fincher, might be involved in directing the American spin-off. And that changes everything. Fincher is known for psychological depth, complex morality, and stylized tension. With him on board, we could be looking at a darker, more cerebral version of the Squid Games. And that might not just be a side story, it could be the future of the franchise. Imagine a game built not just on survival, but on manipulation. Less action, more mind games. Whatever happens next, this setup scene proves the story isn't over, not even close. For all the closure we get, Squid Game 3 still leaves us hanging in key places. And that's intentional. Let's start with the recruiter. Who is he? Is he just another pawn or someone tied directly to Inho? The way he smiles, the way he controls the tempo, it feels too precise to be random. Then there's the VIPs. Will they ever face consequences? Honestly, probably not. And that's what stings. It mirrors real-world systems where power shields the powerful. The finale doesn't sugarcoat it. Justice isn't guaranteed. But the biggest loose thread? The baby. Who raises them now? Do they grow up knowing what happened? Or worse, do they end up back in the system? It's a quiet setup for a possible sequel or even a spin-off that follows the child's future. A next-generation player, a survivor who changes the game? Another haunting question, was Guihan's sacrifice worth it? He stopped one game, but can the cycle ever really end? The system is global. People still sign up. The hunger for money, power, and escape? It's never ending. And maybe that's the point. The games aren't just physical, they're philosophical. As long as society fails people, the Squid Game will keep coming back. Unanswered questions aren't flaws, they're challenges. They ask us to think. Squid Game 3 leaves us with haunting questions about humanity, sacrifice, and corruption. Was Guihan's death worth it? Will the games ever end? Let us know your thoughts below, and prepare for the American spin-off. Like and subscribe for more deep dives. Thanks for watching.